Hi, my name is Jessica Leviner, and today I will be doing my QEP assignment, and for the topic assignment I chose Apple. So I'm sure everyone has heard of Apple, and if you haven't, you're probably living under a rock. But anyway, Apple is basically a company that manufactures electronic devices. They do phones, computers, laptops, TVs, watches, and even earbuds. But obviously, they're a huge multi-billion-dollar company. I actually checked, and their company net worth is around 900 billion. So I think they'll be the first company to reach a net worth of 1 trillion, which is crazy, especially considering how they started out. So they started out with just 3 people, which is not very well known. Mainly people just think of 2 people when they think of Apple, and that's the 2 Steves. But there was actually a 3rd guy thrown in there. So first we have Steve Jobs, which is probably the most well-known person when it comes to Apple. And then we have Steve Wozniacki. And then we have Ronald Wayne. And Ronald Wayne, I think it's neglected in it very often when it comes to the actual starting up of the company. He did sell his share, I think only a couple years down the road, but he did help start up the company. So I think he deserves the credit where it's due. But anyway, so basically these 3 guys met through a mutual friend, and when they met, they kind of just used their big brains, their technology talents to like wreak chaos upon each other. So just pull a whole bunch of pranks on each other. They even went as far as like throwing pranks, like doing pranks on each other at schools and at graduation ceremonies. I'm pretty sure it was Wozniacki and Jobs that actually did a prank on one another during the graduation ceremony when they were walking across the stage. A middle finger actually showed up, so they're obviously doing devious things. With their devious nature and brains, they actually produced one of their first inventions, and this invention was called the blue box. This blue box didn't really have anything to do with Apple, but it's kind of like what got them into inventing things together. So the blue box was basically a device where you could hook it up into a phone, and then that device allows you to make international and long distance phone calls for free. So this goes along with the dubious nature because obviously you're supposed to pay for this stuff, and they just said, nope, we found a loophole, we can get through it. So these guys continued being friends and stuff like that, and they ended up going to a computer convention in 1975. And during this convention, they're basically saying, do it yourself, anything, you can do it yourself. So this gave Jobs the motivation to say, I can build a computer, and I can build a better functioning computer. So that is kind of how the Apple I was born. Apple I was the first computer Apple had ever produced, and it was basically a typewriter hooked onto the computer motor, so not like a computer screen that you would think of when you think of computer, like the actual motor, the big thing beside the computer. It was like that hooked up to a typewriter, and then you could hook that into a TV, and it would show up on the TV, so you could have a screen, so then it would be kind of like what we think of when we think computer. So that was the first Apple I, and actually for their first launch, they only made 50 computers, I think it was, and that was for their initial launch, and I think they only sold around 500, which compared to what they sell today, they sell 27 different products and around 216 million products a year. So that is crazy compared to what they started out with only selling 500 of the Apple ones. So obviously Apple became a huge success, a great success story. They actually have, I think it's over 10 different generations of just iPhones. Like, I have an iPhone, I have the iPhone 8, and a fun fact about the iPhone generations is the number that it says isn't actually the generation that it really is, because they skipped a couple generations, like, in the lineup. So they skipped the iPhone 2 and the iPhone 9. So technically the iPhone 3 was the second iPhone, and the iPhone X, which is the iPhone 10, would be the iPhone 9, which they don't have. So it's pretty confusing, but I thought that was just a fun little fact about it. But anyway, obviously, to run a multi-million-dollar company, you're going to have some policies in place to keep this money and keep it successful. So the system that I believe Apple has in place is the process cost system. And the process cost system is basically put in place for manufacturing companies to determine the adequate production price for a unit. So this basically means that they produce large quantities of one amount. So yes, Apple produces 27 different products, but every single one of those 27 products are going to be the exact same. Meaning all of the iPhone 8s are going to be the exact same when made. So this is basically saying they'll have like groups for each of the product, and it'll have a rounded estimated cost of what it will cost to produce that product, and able for them to determine what they're going to sell, because it's not going to be custom made. They can do a roundabout number. So that's why I believe that they do the process cost system, because they produce millions and millions of products a year. They produce, around 216 million, which is crazy. So they don't have time to customly create the manufacturing cost of each thing. So basically, Apple is a huge company and a huge success story. I think our story is really inspiring, because it was just kind of like guys using their talents for like no good, and it turned out to be like really, really good. And I think there's a famous Steve Jobs quote, and it's not everything that's important has to change the world. And I think this is really funny, because he had an idea that he didn't think was that important, but it ended up changing the world. So I think that really gives you like a little like soft spot in your heart to be like, it doesn't, like, it's okay, anything can change the world, even if you think it doesn't matter. So I think that's really cool, and I think that it's really cool and neat that you can literally become anything. So that is all for my presentation, and thank you.